Welcome all, welcome to this lecture of Object-Oriented Programming 1. This is Unit 1, Introduction to Java and Elementary Programming. Today we'll be seeing some more programs related to this unit, and we'll be completing this unit also by today itself. So in the end, whatever doubts you people have, please do clear that out. Okay, let me show the disclaimer first. Okay, let's start now. So in this unit 1, we have up till now we have seen what is Java, why we need to use Java, what are different Java specifications and API, what is JDK, JRE and JVM. That's all we have seen. What are different integrated development environments, that also we have seen. How a simple Java program looks like, a hello world program. We started with a hello world program. Then we saw what are different kinds of comments. Then data types, we saw that there are about 8 primitive data types and there are 3 non-primitive data types. Then we also saw numeric type conversions, how implicit conversions and explicit conversions, that is automatic conversions and typecastings are done in Java. Then we also saw what are different identifiers, how to define identifiers. We saw that identifiers are unique names given to the classes, variables, methods, packages, right? And we saw how to define variables using data types. Then we saw how to define constants using final keyword. Okay, and then we saw different operators. We saw operators like arithmetic, assignment, comparison operators, logical operators, bitwise operators, and ternary operators, right? Then we also saw the operator precedence and associativity of those operators. And we saw some examples like how to pass arguments through command line. If this is a program called as class my class 1, if this is a program like this, then how do you compile it? You compile it by saying java c my class 1 dot java. And how would you run it? You would run it by saying java and my class 1, that is the class name, java and class name. And then and then you would give the what command line arguments. So here we used to give some numbers, right? So what would happen? This number would go to argument 0, and this number would go to argument 1. That's what we had seen, right? We had seen. And then how do we do how we convert it from string to integer using parsent method of integer wrapper class, by saying integer dot parsent and passing that argument. Okay, so this numbers get converted into integer values, and then we sum it up, we add it, we make an expression and assign the value of that expression to sum, and then we print out, we print numbers, the values of the numbers and the value of sum. Okay, then we also saw how to read the input from the console. Okay, if this is a class, then how do we run it? Now here, while running, we don't give the parameters, we simply say java and greetings, that is the class name. We don't need to give here any command line arguments. No command line arguments are needed. Why? Because we are reading the data from the user, right? See, this is system.in, that is standard input device, which is keyboard, that is wrapped into a scanner object. And then we prompt the user by saying, giving a message, enter your name. And when the control comes on this line, this input dot next line will wait for the user to give input. User has to type something and has to press what? Enter. Until and unless the user presses enter, this line won't go ahead. The control won't go ahead from this particular line, right? So once the user enters something, right, that value will be given to this name variable, which is of type string, right? Because this input dot next line says that we want to read a next line, so it reads a next line from user. User has to enter this particular, any particular value, any particular string on the command line, and as soon as the user presses enter, it goes to the variable name. And then what do? You simply display that, hello to that name, hello and name, welcome to Java. That's what we say. So this is how you take the input. How do we take the input? We use the input stream of standard input, that is system.in, which is nothing but keyboard right now, and we wrap it into a scanner object. Scanner object can provide us various methods like next line, okay, and next int, in that way, okay. So that's why we make use of this scanner object. From where this scanner object is available? The scanner object is available from java.util package, okay, java.util package. So we import that particular class by saying import java.util.scanner, and then we can use it. If we don't import it, we will not be able to use it, okay. So these are some of the classes. This is how we use other classes, right? This is our class. Greetings2 is our own class, whereas the scanner class is provided by Java, right? So we use this kind of ready-made classes by importing this kind of packages. Java.util is a package, okay, utility package, okay. So we import the scanner class from that package in order to use it, okay. That was reading input from console. Then we did some string methods. We saw that we can concatenate two strings using plus, right? And we can even have concat method, but there will be difference. That concat method will not allow any space in between. It will directly concat. And here you can, do your alteration as per your need, and you can insert some other character in between, okay.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Sir, what is the function of import and export?
Okay, see, Jai Shankar, there is nothing called as export. Remember that thing, okay? There is nothing called as export. There is only import, right? In C programming language, what you people used to do? You people used to do something like this. Hash include. And which file did you use to include? Yes, you used to include stdio.h. What was that? Standard
File,
output. That was standard input output header file, right?
Yes.
So you used to make use of a function called as printf. Then you even used a function called as scanf, right? So these functions were defined where? These functions were defined inside this header files, right? Each and every function has got a definition, right? Okay.
Yes.
And if you include that particular file in which it is defined, then only you can use it in your code. In the similar manner, if you want to use any Java API or any other Java classes available in Java API, then you have to simply import it, okay. So here instead of include, we have the keyword called as import, okay. And we specify the class name that we want to import by using the whole package name. So Java is the outer package, util is an inner package, and inside that util you have scanner class, okay. And how do you make an object of a class? By new keyword. You say new scanner, right? So for example, if you have your own class, for example, like this class, my class, okay, and let's say this is an empty class. Now what if you want to make that class object over here in this main, then what you would say? You would simply say my class M is equal to new. I won't have one space over here. Let me reduce the size. Okay, new my class. That's it. Okay, here I put the name of the class and the brackets. So here also you can see that here is the name of the class and brackets, right? Here we are not giving any argument or any parameter. Here we are giving a parameter. What is the parameter? System.in, that is input string. Okay, and the new keyword is there, always there, in order to create any object. Okay, so this new and my class will generate an object, and that object will be pointed by this variable M. Okay, understand? Which will be of type my class. So that is the use of import and how to create an object from a particular class that you have imported. Okay, it's not necessary every time you have to give system.in everywhere. No, it's just that here it is needed. For scanner object we need system.in. Okay, so that is reading input from console. Okay, now then we also saw some string methods of how to convert the string to uppercase, to lowercase, how to calculate the string of the length of the string, okay, using length method, and how to use get the index of a particular string from a particular string. Okay, right? These all things we had seen, right? And we also saw then we had seen some programs. We saw this particular program where this was the program that was given in the slide. So this we saw, this was for passing command line argument. Then we saw another program where we used the scanner class to directly read the integer number from the console, right? Instead of saying sc.next next line and converting that string into integer, doing that multiple operations, why don't we simply say sc.next int? So whatever will be read, it will be read as an integer. But if you enter a character or string over here, that would give you error. So you have to make sure that you don't enter proper, you enter proper input only. You don't enter any unnecessary input. Okay, so when you say sc.nextInt, that will directly read an integer. When the user enters a number, it will be converted into integer and will be given to this num1. And then we again say system.out.print, enter number 2. That sc.nextInt will read another number, and then we can perform any operation like num1 plus num2, or maybe num1 minus num2, or maybe num1 into num2, or num1 divided by num2. Okay, now see here what we have done is, here we had done two things. One is we did the expression. Okay, what this is an mathematical expression, right? And that expression's value is assigned to whom? To the variable sum, and then we are using that sum variable into println to print the result, right? Whereas in all this three printlns, what we have done is we have simply directly put the expression inside the println, but that is put inside brackets. Okay, if you don't use brackets, it would give error. Okay, because then it would see that there is a plus sign also, there is a minus sign also. So what is to be performed, right? So that will give you error. So it's better to use it in brackets. So you have used the expression inside brackets directly, and the result of that expression here, the expression gets evaluated and the result itself gets put over here. Okay, that's how it happens. So that was reading two numbers from user and running it, right? Now let me show you some other programs like the programs like specifically various demonstrations. Let me show you some various demonstrations. Okay, now see, this is care demo, right? In this care demo we have a method main. Okay, and in this method main I have got two characters, and I have not initialized any values to it. So once I initialize, how do I initialize? I assign some value to it. ch1 equal to 88, which is nothing but a code for x, and ch2 is equal to y. So then we say system.out.print ch1 and ch2 are, that is equal to, we print the values of ch1 space ch2. Okay, so in Eclipse, how would you do this in Eclipse? Or sorry, in this NetBeans, how would you create a program? On the project in which you are, you right click over there, you say new. Okay, you click on this new and click on over here as what? Here you click on Java class. Here let me give the class name as care demo. Okay, so now what I have to do is I have to, once I've given the class name, I say finish. Now see, let me run this particular program by saying run file. Okay, so you see this 88 was the code for capital X. So it has automatically shown it. So now see what happens is you are assigning an integer value to a character value. But since that is inside the range of the character, it will automatically convert it into a character. Okay. If you assign some other value, then it might give you error. See, what is the error? The error says it is incompatible types, possible lossy conversion from int to char. So you cannot assign. But if I assign some value in range, then you can see it is processing. Okay, that was character demo. Okay, now you see we can assign characters by numbers also, but that should be inside the range of the character, and by single quote also. Here we are using single quote, ch2 is equal to y. Okay, similarly there are some other programs like shifting. So someone had the question about shifting right yesterday. So let me show you how to use the shift. Okay, this is a byte shift class. Okay, let me create a new class over here called as byte shift. Okay, and I'll take this whole code over here. Okay, so check this out. Here what I will be doing is, here basically we have this byte a is equal to 64 and b, we don't have any value assigned to it, and then we say int a. Now what we are doing is, see, we are saying I is equal to a left shift by 2. Okay, we are saying I. So let me first show you the value of this. What happens when I basically do this part. Okay, let me just first print the value of I. Okay, run it. So check this out. What is the value of I? See, here we said a is equal to 64. Byte a is a byte variable. Okay, byte variable means it is only having 8 bytes of size. So that would support numbers up to uh, 256. It would support up to 256 numbers. Okay. So now see, what happens is when I say a equal to 64 and then a left shift by 2, that gets converted into this I. This is nothing but 256. What happens if we shift it by 1? Let me show you. If we shift it by 1, that is become 128. So see what happens when a byte numeric, the bytes get shifted by 1, the number is doubling up. You see, the number is doubling up. Okay. Try to do one thing. For this, try to make the binary equivalent of number 64. Okay. And then what you do is try to convert it into, try to left shift. Okay. Try to left shift. What do you need? You need binary equivalent of binary equivalent of 64. Okay, so that will be around something like this. Check this out. This binary equivalent of 64 will be equal to something like as 1, and it will be around 1 2 3 4 5 6 6 zeros. Okay, it will be about 6 zeros. So so see, this is what, this is basically a binary equivalent of number 64, which is decimal. Okay, now if you left shift this, then what would happen is, if you left shift this value, then this L value will go ahead in the left, and here one more 0 will be inserted by default. So the left shift enters by default, enters the what, 0 from right hand side. Okay, now what would happen if you do right shift? Obviously the number will reduce, it will not get doubled up, it will get reduced. So check this out. If I right shift it by 1 and then I print it out, okay, I will have to run this file only. So I will say right click and run file. Check this out. It has been reduced it to half. You see, if you left shift, the number gets doubled up. If you right shift, then the number gets half. Okay. So when you reduce it, then what will happen is that when you left right shift, so what will happen over here, that this whole number will get right shifted, and this particular last 0 will go out of scope. This will go out of scope. So this number now, the number that is here right now, represents number what? Number 32 in decimal. This is a binary number that represents number 32 in decimal. What is this? This is binary number, and this is decimal number. Okay, so this is how you right shift. Okay, and how do you, this is how you left shift. Okay, you can even simply do something like this. Instead of printing I, what you will do is, let's say a left shift by 1, that's what we will print. Okay, so here in bracket we will say a left shift by 1, and then what we will do is we will copy this part, and here we will say a right shift by 1. So then here we say right shift by 1. Okay, now we don't need this part. Now we run this. So what is there? Check this out. A left shift by 1 is 128. A right shift by 1 becomes 32. What was A? A was 64. Understand what happens? Okay, let me make you more clear to it. Let's keep it as 4. If we keep it as 4, then on left shift it will become 8, on right shift it will become 2. So on left shifting a number, it becomes what? It becomes doubled. Okay, it becomes doubled out. Okay, so what is the binary equivalent of 4? See, let me show you the binary equivalents are like this. 0 for 0 it is 0 0 0 0. Then for 1 it is 0 0 0 1. For 2 it is 0 0 1 0. For 3 it is 0 0 1 1. Then for 4 it is 0 0. What is it? Sorry, 0 1 0 0. Okay, understand? So that is the binary equivalent of 4. So in fact 100 is the binary equivalent, right? So what if it is shifted, left shifted? What happens? This one will go over here. So the number will become what? Number will become, and if you left shift it, then the number will become 1 0 0 0. Okay, so what is that number? Let's check. 5 value is
8.
0 1 0 1. 6 value is 0 1 1 0. 7th value is 0 1 1 1, and 8th value is 1 0 0 0. You see that? So when you double this, when you left shift this part, the number becomes 8. This 4 number becomes 8. This number becomes 8. When does this become? On left shift. Okay. And if you right shift that, then what happens? See, this 1 will go in this side. So this 1 will go in place of this 0. Understand? So it will be something like 0 0 1 0, which is nothing but equivalent to 2. So that is what happens on right shift. The number 4 gets doubled up to 8 on left shift, and number 4 gets half, becomes half on right shift. You see that? That's the point over here. Understand? That's how the left shift and right shift works. Okay. Now, what if you do it by 2? Obviously, that would go on increasing, right? So it will be directly, if I make it by 2, check this out. What happens if we make it by 2? So see, this A, where that was 4, left shifted by 2, becomes 8. From one shift makes it from 4 to 8, and the another shift makes it from 8 to 16. The numbers gets 2 times, it increases. Okay, so, and then if you convert, if you say right shift by 2, then that number 4 goes to 2, and from 2 it goes to 1. You see that? Now you would say, let me show you. Let's keep it as 1 only. Okay. Now, if I say right shift, there is a new operator called as triple right shift over here. What happens when you do this? This triple right shift basically inserts, okay, here you will not be able to see the output. Let me show it to you in another program. Okay, before we go to that, check this out. If I remove this part, now here see what we are doing is, here we are saying A left shift by 2. Okay, what becomes A? A is 4, right? Left shifted by 2 makes it to 16. 16 plus 10, 26. convert it to a byte number and give it to B. Okay. Then we print the original value of A, I and B, and also this particular result. Okay. And let me just okay, now we had to give the value of B. B is given, then why it is giving us error over here? I, okay, I's value is not given. So I's value was what? It was equal to A left shift by 2. That was I, right? So if we now run this file, we'll get the results. Okay, you'll get the all the results. Original value of A, I and B. A's value was 4. And what did you do for I? We left shifted it by 2, so it became 16. Right? For B, again we left shifted it by 2 and added 10 to it. It became 26. Okay, understand? So you can make expressions like this. See here what we have done in this particular expression. Here we have made a left shift of a number by 2, and whatever the resulting number, what was the resulting number? The resulting number was 16. 4 left shifted by 2 becomes 16. Then you add that 16 to, you add it to 10 over here. So what that becomes? That becomes 26. Okay. So this is how you make expressions. This is how you use expressions in Java. Okay. Now let me show you the example of byte use shift. That is called as unsigned shifting a byte value. Okay. Unsigned shift. This triple shift is called unsigned shift. Okay. So let me show you this particular example. Let me make a new class over here, new Java class called as byte use shift, and let me take this whole code. I think we won't be using this whole code. Let us use only some part of it so that we can quickly understand the whole thing. Okay. Let's use what? Let's use let's print B over here. Let's print. Let's do one thing. Let's print C also and B also. Okay. What is B? Value of B is 0, 1, X, F1. Okay, so let's print the value of B also first. So we come to know what in fact we are printing. Okay. Okay. Only this part also. Let me run this particular program. Okay, check this out. The byte value here, we have defined the byte value here, this number as a hexadecimal number. Hexadecimal number is 0xF1. So what it has done is it has assigned this number to this B as -15. Okay. And now if you left shift it by 4, that becomes -1. Okay, let me show you. What if you left shift it by 2? Okay, let's make it as 0. And let's make it over here 2. Run file. Okay, check this out. So this is This is 0x f0. Okay, so basically this number is if you convert it into uh, the decimal, it would become 16, and then you made it as a byte, so you can assign it to b, right? So that value is minus 16 right now. Now see what happens is this minus is a signed number, minus 16 is a signed number. So if you right shift it by 2, okay, then it might happen if you go ahead more, go like let's say by 5, and see, let's see what happens. That number might lose, there is a chance of losing its sign. Okay, let me make it like this also. This is a negative number, let me show you a positive number also. Let's do the same thing, or we basically need an example of signed shift in Java. Okay, so what we will do is now we will not again declare it, no issue. We will simply assign some values to it. Let's say positive 16 and b right shift by 2 and b triple shift by 2. Let it be like this only, so it won't give us any error. Okay, now let's again print it. Check this out. What has happened is uh, this minus 16 right shifted by 2 gives you minus 4, and plus 16 also gives you 4. Okay, now what is the use of basically see in Java what happens is that the negative numbers are basically stored as 2's complement. Okay, so if you use signed shift, there is a chance of uh, you know losing out that sign. Okay, so in order to understand this thing properly, what we can do is we can basically make use of something like okay, check this out. This is what I will do. Let me make this code very simple code. Okay, let's give this make it as int. Let's forget byte. Now this xy will not directly print it as x and y. What we will do is we will say x right shift by 1 and y right shift by 1. Okay, obviously this will give you what? This will give you and minus 2 for this minus 4, right shifted by 1, make that half, says makes it half, and this plus 4 gives you plus 2. Okay, now if you use the unsigned right shift, then this it always feels 0 irrespective of the sign of the number. Okay, so let me show you. If we make this x, let's make this particular x, let me remove this y and let me make this x as minus 1. Okay, and now what we will do is we will basically print over here x right shift by 29. Okay, let's just print this, see what happens. And this, that gives us 7. Okay, what happened is over here is it always inserted 0. Okay, and this 29 brought this minus 1's negative sign onto so much right hand side that it became a positive number. Okay, see, if I right shift it by 4, what happens to it? Check this out. Oh my god, it becomes a very big number. You see that? If I right shift it by simply 1, happens? It becomes a very big number, you see? Understand? So that's why we had used byte. That would have been easier to understand. Now let's try this. Okay. So the byte number is also coming a bigger number. You see that? Byte number is also coming much bigger. Right. So let's make it to 2. So this number will get half. Check this out. So run file, that number has become half. I say 4. I say 10. See, the number is now reducing. 20. The number is reduced. You see? Because what happens is this minus 1 had got a different representation in the memory, and that basically had given what, that basically would have given the this right shift boost, given a very much boost. You see that? You can even so now let me make it to 25. You see the number has reduced to 127. Okay, so now what is happening? This minus ones, the sign has been shifting and there is 0 getting inserted from left hand side. So the number is changing. So it's something like this, that if your number is something like this, 1100, and you say right shift with this particular thing. So in negative numbers, what would happen is, negative numbers, the right shift would happen something like this, 1110. This sign would be maintained. Okay. Whereas here what happens is, here it happens something like this. 0 gets inserted from right, so from left, and then this 1 gets shifted, and then here 0. So this 0 goes out. This particular 0, this 0 goes out. But from left, you get a 0 only as a new entry. So the sign is not maintained. You see that? That's what happens when you say triple right shift. Okay. Okay. That's what it happens basically. Okay. Let me take any numbers such as, for example, 60. And just you right shift by 1. See what happens. Okay. that becomes 30. That's fine. Okay. Now what if I take it as minus 60? See, the number itself becomes much bigger. Why? Because that minus 60 basically had 1 on its on its this thing. So you can do something like this. Let me show you. What you can do is you would say something like this, that let's make it as int x equal to 60 and y equal to minus 60. Okay, and now what we will do is we will basically be printing this x and y. Okay, we will be printing this x and y. So we say system.out.println x is equal to 60. Okay, and let's print its binary value. So binary equivalent is what? Binary equivalent is, we can use integer dot to binary string, and here we put x. Okay, now we use the same for minus 60, that is y. Y is equal to minus 60 and binary is, let's see that what is the binary equivalent of each. So check this out. Now you will get to see, understand properly. Value of 60 is this, whereas value of minus 60 is this. This is the 2's complement basically. Okay, now if you basically right shift, okay, right shift that part, then what happens? From here 0 gets inserted, this 1 comes over here, this place. In this way, this 0 comes at this particular place of this 1, and that's where the shifting will happen. And on the left hand side, this 1 gets replaced with 0. Okay, 1 gets replaced with 0. Okay, so you'll see what happens when you do the left shift. Now see, if you want to make this minus 60 as number 1, then how many shifts you need to make? Check this out. Let's count. You need to make shifts like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. So you need to make about 32 shifts on the right hand side. Okay, so let's make that. Let's make it out. I just say this y right shifted by 32. In binary, what happens? That is equivalent to saying y right shifted to 32. Okay, now if we run this, okay, let's not print the binary number, let's directly print the integer number that we have. Okay, that is still minus 60 only. Why is it so? Okay, let's make it to 31. Yes, not 32 but 31. That's it, it becomes 1. You see that? And now if we even show it in the binary form, then also it will be 1 only. See that? So this place has been shifted by 31 places. Okay, this particular one has been shifted by 31 places over up to here. Okay, and all these numbers have exited out. So what about the remaining numbers that come from here? That 0 comes from there. And if you right shift it by 31, okay, if you right shift it by 31, you don't use the unsigned shift, and it will make a signed shift. You see, it becomes like this. That sign stays, and this number gets, shifted, and the sign also gets shifted, but the sign is also maintained. So one gets shifted, these one gets shifted to everywhere, okay, and this whole thing becomes this part. You see that? So that is the main thing. You understand the difference between signed shift and unsigned shift? If you use double greater than, that is a signed shift that will maintain the sign. It will not insert 0. It will not insert 0 from left hand side. It will insert whatever the sign is there. If the sign is 0, it will insert 0. If the sign is 1, it will insert 1. Okay. But if you use it like this, if you use it like this, y and unsigned shift 31, then what happens? This one gets shifted to this particular place, and in between whatever number gets inserted is 0. Every time you get to see a 0 getting inserted, that is unsigned shift. So without the whatever be the sign, what is the sign? The leftmost number is the sign, right? So whatever be the sign, ignore it and always insert 0 from left. That is what is the funda of unsigned shift. So basically unsigned shift, it always, just remember, it always inserts 0 from left, and signed shift maintains the sign. If it is 0, it maintains 0 on left. If it is 1, it maintains 1 and always inserts 1 from left. That's the only difference. Okay. Now let me again share the screen, and let us see some more examples. Okay, let us see some more examples. So this was about shifting operators. Now let's see some example like Boolean. See the example of Boolean. So you should in fact run all these programs to practice. You should practice these programs. Okay, let me make a new class over here. I'll say new Java class called as bull test. Finish it, and let me take this whole code. See, this is these programs are basically of complete reference book. So I'm using this particular programs. Okay, and I will share it with you also. And check this out. This is a Boolean b. This is a variable b, and I have made it false. You cannot assign any numeric value to it. Okay, you cannot assign any numeric value to this b, because it is a Boolean variable. It will accept only Boolean literal. Okay, false and true are Boolean literals. Okay, then we print it out. Then we say b is true. Again we print it out. B becomes true. Okay, so let me run this. What happens? First the b is false, then b becomes true, because first we assigned false and then we assigned true, right? Now see, you've seen the operators, right? Now let me show you the operators that specifically works with this true and false. So I say not of b is not b. Check this out. How this not works. Okay, I run this file. B is false, that's fine. B now becomes true, that's also fine. First it was false, you printed it. Then it was true, you printed it. Now what you did is you said not of B. How did you do that not of B? You used this not operator. Not B means reverse of B. What is B right now? B right now is true. First it was false, then it became true. Okay. So not of B is reverse of true. So that will become false. B itself has not become, but its current value has become false. If you again print B, that will be true only. If you again print B after that, it will be true only. B is as it is. But for that time instance, when that operator was used with B, the value of B was reversed and then it was printed. So that's why it was printed as false. And that's why we call it as not of B. Okay. Not of B means if it's false, it becomes true. If it is true, it becomes false. As simple as that. Understand how this not operator works specifically with Boolean variables? Okay. That is very much important to see how not operator works. Okay. Okay. I think let's call it the end of the day. Okay.